Over the course of a lifetime, scientists estimate that the modern human brain will hold up to 1 quadrillion pieces of information. However, more than 16 million people suffer from cognitive impairment, which causes the patient to lose most information. This defect affects many people, and the most scary thing is, it is irreversible. Although I am not a doctor, I have had plenty of experience considering my father suffers from memory loss and my grandfather died from Alzheimer's disease. Cognitive impairment is a scary defect that can disable you from living your normal life. Today, I'll be explaining the different types of diseases that cause cognitive impairment, including Alzheimer's disease, MS, and amnesia. First, let's talk about Alzheimer's disease. In 1906, Dr. Alois Alzheimer noticed some disturbing tissue in the brain of a young woman who recently died of an unknown mental illness. Dr. Alzheimer called this abnormality Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease existed long before his discovery in 1906. However, they had never found it in a patient so young. In the beginning, people thought that dementia was a result of aging. Researchers were astounded when they learned it was not just from old age, but instead a mental illness. With this mental illness, there are changes that happen in the brain. The apparent changes can be shown in the brain when looking at the pathology on a microscope. The first change is called amyloid, which is an abnormal protein that builds up in the brain. The theory has always been that amyloid is toxic when some of the amyloid builds up and does not get cleaned out of the brain like it is supposed to. Researchers theorize that amyloid acts almost as an infective agent. If amyloid starts to develop, it spreads to the other cells. If researchers could figure out how to block the cells from spreading, they might be able to reduce the spread of Alzheimer's disease. Ever since its discovery in 1906, scientists have been unable to find a cure for this horrid disease. Each year we lose 83,000 innocent lives. Alzheimer's disease is an illness that we have yet to overcome. As Susan Thackett once said, "The reality of this disease is that there's no remission, there's no stopping it, there's no slowing it down, there's no cures, and there are no survivors." As harsh as this quote sounds, this is the reality of Alzheimer's disease. Researchers work hard every day to find a cure for this disease, yet people still continue to suffer and end their lives in confusion, darkness, and loneliness. Recent awareness, especially in America, has fueled new research inquiries into finding a cure. However, we can be sure that as long as we continue without a treatment, this disease will continue to cripple and kill Americans. Now that we've talked about Alzheimer's disease, we're going to talk about MS. Although Alzheimer's disease causes much more damage, MS can cause some serious cognitive impairment. Cognitive impairment occurs in 40 to 65% of multiple sclerosis patients, typically involving complex attention, information processing speed, memory, and functions. In pediatric onset, MS cognition is frequently impaired and worsens relatively rapidly. Although memory loss isn't as common in MS patients as paralysis, it still has an effect on those MS patients who are unfortunate enough to develop it. Now that we've discussed Alzheimer's disease and MS, let's discuss amnesia. Aside from Alzheimer's disease and MS, amnesia is also a horrible disease that causes cognitive impairment. Amnesia is a form of memory loss. Some people with amnesia have difficulty forming new memories. Others can't recall facts or past experiences. People with amnesia usually retain knowledge of their own identity, as well as motor skills. Mild memory loss is a normal part of aging. Significant memory loss, or the inability to form new memories, may indicate the presence of amnesia. Although amnesia isn't as horrid as Alzheimer's disease, it still makes people lose the memories that once meant a lot to them. In conclusion, you have learned about cognitive impairment and how it affects many people's lives. Cognitive impairment is a terrifying defect that can disable you from living your normal, independent life. There are many different types of diseases that cause cognitive impairment, including Alzheimer's disease, MS, and amnesia. Memory loss is a very important issue that affects many lives today.